Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned. Okay, 1847 Liberty is a beacon of hope. Oh, man, that's some tech issue. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned. Water filtration does not remove toxic chemicals. In fact, a single shisha, shisha session can deliver the equivalent smoke of 100 cigarettes. In Liberia, the danger is compounded by the practice of mixing shisha with intoxicating substances, including marijuana, tramadol powder, and synthetic drugs to heighten the effect. What begins as a social indulgence often becomes a gateway to addiction. Shisha has quietly introduced thousands of Liberians, especially the young people, to substance abuse. Shisha is not just smoke, it is a slippery slope. Tramadol, on the other hand, has long been a new threat. A synthetic opioid originally designed for pain relief, it has been widely abused by Liberian youth for years. Its misuse has led to several overdoses, withdrawal emergencies, and a rise in gender based violence and petty crime. Under the new directive, tramadol is now restricted to licensed health practitioners in approved hospitals. This is a necessary step, but it raises a question. Why only tramadol? What about diazepam, codeine, and other commonly abused prescription drugs that are still circulating freely within the Liberian society? And then comes the harder question. How would this be enforced? Liberians have seen bans before. Kush, marijuana, spark, and other narcotics are flagged illegal by law. Yet, they still flood the market. Why? Because enforcement is porous. Allegations persist that some policymakers are complicit in the importation and distribution of these substances. Coast guards and immigration officers are often accused of accepting bribes. LDEA agents have been caught with drugs in many instances. Raids are launched, press releases are issued, but the cycle continues. Now, we ask, what is being done to eliminate the bad actors within government who continue to enable this crisis? What systems are in place to ensure Coast Guards and border agents uphold their duty without any compromise? What is being done to educate our young people about the real damage these substances cause to their health in the long term? What is being done to ensure violators face justice and not just temporary drug enforcement publicity stunts that we're so used to seeing around these days? What is being done to expand rehabilitation and not just focus on restriction? The government's ban is undoubtedly a step forward, but without proper enforcement, stringent enforcement, it's just a headline and not a solution. Without education, it's just a warning and not a prevention. And without rehabilitation, it is just a punishment and not a healing. Liberia must go beyond banning substances. We must ban the complicity and neglect that allow addiction to thrive. We must build systems that protect, educate, and rehabilitate, and not just criminalize. This isn't just shisha or trauma, it is about the future of a nation and the responsibility to meaningful action before more lives, the responsibilities of the government to take meaningful action before more lives are lost. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co host Joseph Irene, we bring. Joining us today to talk about some of the issues raised in my commentary are Matthew Nyampu, former official of the United Party government and political hopeful, Ronald Obayu, former official of the WIA administration and Liberty senior political commentator, author, and a Liberty senior contributor, Joseph Akwe Zeze. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to. Okay, we will begin with Joseph Akwezeze, who has a special July 24th message. Joseph,
to partake into
Joseph,
another.
switch your phone?
Come again, please.
Can you turn your
Am I
phone
clear?
horizontally?
Okay.
Okay, the other way around, please. Okay, I'll turn over to my co-host, Joseph. Joseph Irene.
Um, we just listened to a brilliant commentary, and you know, we all watched we all saw the press release on the internet recently about the moratorium on seizure and tramadol. Now, our question to you, our panelists today, because I understand that we all listen to the commentary and we know the presiding situation, the prevailing situation. So, what are your thoughts when it comes to this moratorium? Do you think this was the right stance, or was this the right path that the government took, or what do you think? What do you think about it?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. Is that question directed to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Once again, I am glad to be part of this program another time, and once again, and I appreciate the efforts that if we go through these discussions, policymakers that are the helm of authority will hope that will look into these and and make it part of their prescription. So, um, with respect to the current drugs situation and government attempt to enforce some of the laws concerning these narcotics substances. So I would say, well, with my background in corporate planning and evaluation, I would say, for example, I will read the whole thing. I mean, the total process involved 100%, but break them into bigger pieces. The political will or the intention to enforce will be one part. Then, of course, the continuity will be another part. Then, attacking the root causes will be another part. So, for now, I would say, if I gave the first part, which is the will or the effort utilized so far, if I say 40, I would say of the government so far I gave you 25. Then the balance 15 from that 40 will go to the continuity. You will start something vigorously and in making progress, but what if it does not continue along the line, right there? Or if it continues along the line, plus, then again, we'll look at the last 70%, or let's say 60% is the tackling the root causes of the tackling the root causes. That one too is very difficult. That's why you see I allotted 60% because you have to go down to the root causes that contributing to this alarming and dangerous situation in our country that affecting our youth. So again, I would say for the effort so far, that's 25%. Then we'll keep the other rest to see how it will progress along the line. Thank you.
Okay. Our good friend Matthew Nyapu, a presidential hopeful and former official of the Waka administration, just joined us. Um, Nyapu, welcome to 1847 Liberty, my brother.
Hi, Mr. Sako. Can you hear me? I'm
Very,
having some
yeah,
technical
we are hearing you, sir.
difficulties here in the background.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
yes, sir.
I apologize for joining in late. Um, it's not the typical Liberian stuff. I've just been having some technical difficulties trying to join in at least the first time. I hope I will improve my appearance subsequently. So please accept my apologies.
No problem, my brother. Thank you for making it to the show. We appreciate you uh, at least showing up. Thanks for that. Uh, and another good friend, our senior political commentator, Mr. Ronald Tobayu. Welcome to 1847, Ronald.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas Cycle. Thanks to you, Joseph, and then Isla. Seeing my dear brothers face to face, Mafi Yamplo, after a significant period, and thanks to Mr. Joseph, since the last time we met on this show, Joseph and me have not interacted. So today is Sunday, a very busy day, a religious day, but we strive to make time available, to honor our commitment to you and the Liberian people that we strive to serve, inform, and entertain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Just so you know, today is Flag Day. This is the Flag Day of Liberia, and author and senior contributor Joseph Akwezize would like to give us a brief 24th, August 24th, I beg your pardon, August 24th message. Joseph, you are mute. Mr. Zize, you are mute.
Oh, thank you. So Yeah, thank you. And as the narrative goes, um, almost a month, let's say 2 days to a month after independence, there was a need to showcase our national emblem, to reflect on the struggles along the line that led us to independence. So, in that light, a committee was set up, headed by Susanna Lewis and other women, and they designed our national emblem, which is the national flag. And the design reflected or reflects now the flag of the United States of America, because they were owing that to the founding of this country by free slaves from the United States. So we were all taught about the stripes, the 11 stripes, or 5 red, 6 white, or vice versa. And the meaning of these colors, the red, white, and blue. So the blue stands for, it represents the continent of Africa, and the white star in that blue, we all know, is the represents Liberia as the first independent country. Then the red symbolizes valor and determination. And of course, the white field of peace. So but again, after the flag too, there are other patriotic songs that we sing. We sing in reflecting our national anthem. I mean, yes, and that is, for example, the Lone Star, written by Arthur Barclay at the age of 19. Then the pledge we recite during our school days. Yeah, and the parade, the flag day, the parade. I can remember years back, growing up in Beaumont, that was a very strict activity, schooling activity. When flag day is around the corner, sometimes we leave after recess. I mean, right after recess, we go to the field and practice. After that, the national flag day, we wait for the superintendent of the superintendent of one country will come, and we grace the occasion with children. So, that has been the socialization, and our forefathers passed that on to us, and we to our children. So, reflecting on this, something came to mind. Looking at the national anthem, especially the second stanza. The second stanza that says, "In joy and gladness, with our hearts united, we shout the freedom of a race united." Now, the flag says, "All you Liberia Hill, this glory of long liberty shall long be ours." Okay, but then coming down, we shout the freedom of a race united. So when I look at that word, united, I mean, it has a negative connotation. So we need to reflect on that. Like a race on entertained, or race disenfranchised, or race or in need. So we know that sometimes words, we have been singing this throughout the history of Liberia. Now, as we sing this as a race united, or race on entertained, or race unenlightened, not entertained, unenlightened. Look at that. We've been singing about, we shout, we shout the freedom of a race unentertained or unenlightened. Okay, yeah, a race unenlightened. I mean, it shows that we have a dark cloud. We inherited, or we created a dark cloud, and we are still immersed in the euphoria of that dark cloud, or race unenlightened. So it is a need, as we sing our national anthem, looking at our flag, pledging our allegiance, that should be changed. Because if you look at Nigeria has changed our national anthem several times.
Okay, the regular internet trouble in Liberia has started again. While we wait for Joseph Akwezise to come back on, we will uh, have our friend Matthew uh, to give us if he have any message for the holiday to just go ahead and do it. Matthew.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sacco, for the opportunity to be on your show. I'm glad our country is celebrating
Back on now. Yeah.
Flag.
Yeah. Sorry for this.
Yeah,
Please, I think that problem.
just we will
I think
circle
it's
back to
yeah.
you. We'll have Matthew to just continue with his message. We'll get back to you. Matthew,
Yeah, so on this Flag Day, I
Yeah. Come
want
again.
to
Okay.
Joseph,
wish our
we will circle back to you. We'll have Matthew deliver his message and we'll come back to you.
at Flag Day, we want to wish our nation happy Flag Day. Uh, some years back, I wrote that our flag needs some kind of revision. Uh, our nation's foundation was built by the American Liberian settlers. Every nation has a starting point. Every nation has a starting point. But when I look at the flag today and the description that they give it at the time that they designed the American flag, the Liberian flag, which is like like just a caricature of the American flag, I see that it wasn't quite innovative enough. But you can't fault them for that at that time because that was solely the frame of reference they had to do anything. Today, maybe we need to revisit our national symbol, to see in the way it can reflect our Liberian history and culture. Because, for example, they say, "Oh, the red represent the blood that was shed, the white represent purity, the blue field represent the African continent, the white star in that blue field represent the independent African nation on the continent of Africa during that time." It's not quite those descriptions and the design is not quite innovative enough. So I'd reflect there. We maybe want to begin the conversation to say maybe we need to revisit that so that our flag reflects Liberia as it is today. And Flag Day also, well, I'm not quite sure why we should still be celebrating it as a holiday. Yeah. So I have some questions about some of the holidays that we have. But maybe if we need to scrap one of them, we'll be Flag Day because what we have is basically just not innovative enough, and we can fault those who designed it at that time. Basically, that was the frame of reference they had, but maybe we need to do it. Well, I'm not sure also whether that is a present priority for our nation, but these are just thoughts that I'm throwing out as we commemorate yet again another Flag Day. Every time we commemorate a Flag Day for Liberia, we see that this is just, let's say, a caricature of the American flag redesigned to reflect Liberia. Do we
Okay,
want to still be identified in that way? That is a national conversation that we will have. But it's not
okay,
pressing. We just have to highlight that.
okay, Matthew. Thank you very much. This is just a gist of uh, a show that we are planning to host maybe in the future. I mean, we're not going into it today. Today we have a topic, but because the day is Flag Day, we cannot let the day go back without saying anything about Flag Day. But we'll get back to that in detail in subsequent stream.
Oh,
Mr. Ronald
I see
Dubai.
Ronald Duba. I see Ronald Duba you there, and it's good to see you. Uh,
Okay.
So
so
thank you very much.
maybe we need to rewire your brain.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, Ronald. Ronald, any message for Flag Day?
Let me say this. I'm glad to see Brother Yamplu an old friend of mine, almost 20 years of knowing each other. When you were telling me there's this guy called Yamplu, I'm like, don't tell me about Yamplu. Yamplu and myself, we've eaten together.
We are like family.
Yeah, we came a long way, very, very long way. I was in Cathedral, where I know you from cycle. He was in St. Mary's. And we entered AMU the same year he left. He went to UL. We have a lot of history. So Mafi is a long-standing brother that I know so dearly. Now, on the issue about the flag, Mafi know me, I have been a
It's
radical.
just that we don't agree on your job. We are thing at home.
At some point in time, we agreed together. Matthew has been fluctuating. So today he agreed, tomorrow he disagreed. That's the only difference, right?
I've
But
never agreed with you on George we are around up.
Mami, let me go ahead. Let me go ahead.
Let the man speak.
So I've written several articles on my disagreement on Liberia's independence. You remember the first show I told you about my impression about the independence, and today you talk about Flag Day. Correct me if I'm wrong. Liberia is the only country that I know of in the world whose Flag Day is different from the Independence Day. In real essence, the flag is a symbolic representation of the state. The flag represents the state. And so most of the time, when people gain, attain, or declare independence, the flag is hosted as the symbol of their unity, the symbol of the new journey in their political governance. And so at first they get confused to see our country, Liberia, whose flag day is different from the Independent Day. There's a historical tale attached to that. People, after the little been, violated Liberia custom rights in the port of Buchanan, Liberia took a complaint to the ACS. At the time, Liberia was a colony. It was a colony under the ACS. And Joseph Jiginrao, who was the last governor of the colony, took a complaint, and ACS advised Liberia to declare independence. And so Liberia hurriedly declared independence right there on Broad Street. And so while they were declaring independence, I don't think the constitution was even finished properly. I don't think the flag was available. So hurriedly they declared independence before they start talking about flag. The same with the historical tales that Liberia declared war on Germany. We declared war on Germany. We've gone to train our army. I think during the presidency of Arthur Barclay or Howard, one of the Daniel Howard, one of them. We train our army. Before training the army, the war has ended. So there has been some inconsistency in hurry, historical attachment with Liberia. Today we call this an Independent Day. Now, given as it is, people say a Liberia flag is sometimes called the Lone Star. This is regarded as a symbol of our unique national unity. This is my message for the Flag Day. If the flag should be a symbol of national unity that brings us together, then this is one of the worst Flag Day we've having. Because on the eve of our Flag Day, our government, led a raid to go and invade. I use the word invade a major political party, an opposition party that you won with less than 17,000 votes. What message are you carrying out there? You carry a message that contradicts what the flag stands for. The flag stands for unity. Spare me the cliche that, we owe this particular landlord. We know the history. As a president,
Mr. Randa Dubayu, I'm not sure that's the route you want us to go.
Yeah.
Because if you are a respecter of the law, then the law has to take its course. I have disagreed with the Unity Party government in cherry picking enforcement of the law. The enforcement of law cannot be cannot see what you call national unity.
So let me end my statement, brother.
Not because your CDC is Mr. Sacco asked us to give our our Flag Day reflection.
Gentlemen,
Let's give our reflection and leave out the politics.
Gentlemen, I'll come in real quickly. I think we have a show. We have a show coming up, a new topic. Today, let's focus on the drug crisis. We just have the opportunity to give, brief
this is my disappointment.
messages
Let me
for
flag this disappointment.
the purpose
We
of
asked-
the
we asked-
5 day celebration. Let us not go too deep into a topic that is not yet posted.
Yeah, our political
right.
scores. We understand that you're
30
frustrated.
seconds. Please wrap up so we can move into other issues.
So let me flag this, right? Yamplu used to be a journalist. I don't know, he's still a journalist, right? When you ask to give an opinion, to give my opening message, is there's no team attached to that. There's no circumference I'm confined in. There's no confined space here. You cannot tell me how to give my opinion. My message is my opinion. You cannot guide and tell a guy, Matthew,
No one teleguiding you, sir.
you slip. You can't interrupt my message.
Granted, Doba, you 30 seconds.
Yeah, you slip, Matthew. You want to be a president. Presidents are tolerant people.
I don't know.
30,
Anyway,
30
let's not
seconds.
drag. Let's not drag it, please.
So,
31 seconds.
so what I was saying is that this Flag Day has been contradicted. It should unify us. But one day after an invasion, one group of people feeling very disappointed. Are we unified? The action yesterday we saw on the eve of this Flag Day is a reason for us to be disunited more. That was my conclusion, and that is the acknowledgement that I tried to conclude at. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Don't get too excited. Next week we'll delve into a topic that will address, those concerns that you are so anxiously, bringing up. So, Joseph Akwesizet, you were interrupted before we went over to Matthew. You want to conclude so we can jump straight into our discussion?
Okay, yeah. So as I was saying, like the other panelists, all of these things require reflection and looking into, because other countries they look at the national anthem, look at the flag, the national symbol, and they reflect and look at existing reality and change them for the betterment of all, because it says justice for all. So you cannot create a national symbol or emblem, then it does not represent the entire country. You sing a national anthem, crosses that are there still define you as a doomed race, like a race benighted, a race unenlightened. Those are things that we need to look at and see and change so that the generation after us can have a positive mind. Yeah, these discussions are good, and we hope that our policy makers can look at them and maybe inculcate in some of their policy prescription to move the country forward.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll take a short break, and when we get back, we'll jump straight into the topic of the day.
Isn't coming.
I'm waiting. I'm trying to call 90 Day Fiance. Maybe they can hurry up with the
visa thing?
with the visa. It's been a while.
90 Day Fiance.
I miss them.
You want to get on 90 Day Fiance?
They probably can speed up the process for him to come.
Oh,
what do you think?
I think you should just do a fiance
I wouldn't be
visa.
surprised if you call them and try to get me on the show. You're good at it.
No, I probably wouldn't. No.
Please call them and be like, you have a desperate bride. He needs her man.
I hope he comes. You buying this dress? I hope he shows up.
Can you imagine I go to the have a wedding and he doesn't show up?
Okay, that's an interesting new reality TV show. Nurses After Scrubs. Please stay tuned and watch out for the next new episode of that show, hosted by my good friend Suwa. Gentlemen, let's get into it. So we have a very serious problem in the country: the problem of drug addiction, especially among our young people, the future leaders of our country. In our previous episode, we, I mean, folks on the panel criticized the government uh, uh, decision or action to stage a national demonstration, and some people thought and uh, accused the government of just putting up a political stunt, and that they were not intentional about implementing real policies. But fast forward a few days ago, the government took a bold step by banning narcotics in the country. Tramadol, I think two, tramadol and shisha. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joseph. Um, I think that is a bold step, and I think the government is not joking with this issue. Gentlemen, the question is, what do you think? Do you think the government is doing enough? Are they doing more to curtail this deadly drug addiction problem in the country? Nyampu, you want to go first? Okay. Joseph, Akwe, you want to go first?
Yeah, let me attempt to address this. From a background in corporate planning and evaluation, um, I would not say upregulate that the government have succeeded or is doing more. As I said, I need to break it down. Number one, the first one is that the effort to initiate, or I may say the will of initiation. That I can give it some credit. Remember, we have continuity and also tackling the root cause. What the government is doing now is just trying to minimize people being affected by the symptom. Like when you smoke or when you inhale, the reaction, so right away they are banished, something and so. But the root cause still lies within the person's psyche. So there's a need to address that. Maybe poverty or some social disorder that allow people attractive to these narcotic substances to cope with certain conditions they have. So we are going to reach that stage. It is just the initiation, the will to initiate a process that I can say, okay, yes, government, you are in the right direction. But then we can look at the continuity. Then, of course, attacking the root cause, which is very difficult. So I think that's my fair analysis.
Ronald, what about you? Is the government doing enough to curtail the widespread use of narcotics among our young people?
So thank you very much, Mr. Tomasaka. It's a very big question, but I refer you back to the 2025 budget. Fiscal budget is 625 pages. When you read that budget, the budget increased from 671.42 million to 773.9 million. If you look in that budget, 42% of it goes towards compensation of employee, 18% goes towards use of goods and services, followed by subsidy things, 16%, the other one 10% go downward. When you go to set a specific budget, see what is there for DEA. When you read what is there for DEA, you look at the quality of enforcer at the DEA, just enforcement agency. When you look at their salary as compared to the lawmakers, if you look at their salary as compared to what Mr. Walker uses on private jet, if you look at the salary and compensation, the quality, firstly, DA personnel are one of those people that are recruited in less than 3 months. You see them in uniform. How can you pay a man 150 USD to go and combat a sector where a $1 sector, illegal sector? Now, I give you this example. When I was at the EPA, I had this colleague of mine in Ghana. When there was a just issue some years back, he said, Randall, you guys are dealing with something sensitive. Let me give you this scenario of mine. He said there was a just situation in Ghana. I was at the University of Cape Coast as a professor. The judge was arrested at the Koduka airport in Ghana, brought to me in Cape Coast on the weekend. I did not know it was drugs. I am a chemistry professor. I was supposed to test that to know the quantity and classify it. Before the day ends, it happened on a Saturday. May next Saturday, when the judge was shipped from Kodukai to Cape Coast, the armed robber arrived on campus. They went exactly to the guy's compound. They went to a room and they said, we're here for our item. And he was surprised because he did not know the shipment had arrived in his lab. When he was agitating, they showed his daughter and wife in London on a live cast. They say, this is your wife, right? This is your daughter. We need our materials, they are right in here. The point I'm putting here is the just law, the just war, those who are involved, they are powerful people. And you pay somebody who is supposed to regulate, enforce them 150, and somebody tells me because you closed down Shusha. Shusha is not classified as a job all around the world. It's not just. First, it's a sport type of substance. And the government approach in my mind is tantalizing. The government approach in my mind is just for political correctness. Now, in fact, the government is insensitive to the economic loss associated with that. One, government use a knee-jerk approach to announce a major policy affecting the entire country. Nowhere in the world a policy will be announced and it takes effect the next day. That was very wrong in the circumference of reasoning. Nowhere in the world. Even to where you are, Thomas, if you default on your landlord and they're asking you to leave, to give you 30 days all around the world. So, firstly, government issue legitimate lessons to importers. Those lessons, importer, some of them have shipment on the sea. Some of them have already put in consignment. We are about to enter the festive season. People put in consignment at least 3 to 6 months ahead of time. Our government, as responsible as they claim they are, instead of calling all of these business actors, those who are involved with the commerce and importation of these type of goods, call them and give them a calendar that you are about to roll this out. Give them a timeline, let them to adjust, let the market to naturally accept that, because people consumption pattern, that behavior, that utility, happiness, you just don't abruptly come and then stop it. So the abrupt nature of that in itself is a violation of their basic human right. Their entitlement to
Ronald,
yeah.
Ronald, this is a national.
I'm coming to it. You
We
said
don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Duba. What has been abruptly curtailed?
So why were you criticize the government? Taking
I'm saying Sisha.
Yeah.
I'm saying the announcement
Mhm.
on the 21st that Sisha will be banned the next day. It was wrong. The approach was wrong. Why? Because government tend to dupe business people who were legitimately allowed to import these goods. Now, right now, I'm telling you, are you telling me since the 22nd, nobody is consuming Sisha in that country? Now, will government rather people lie to them? People hire and consume that. I am saying it's not genuine. Government announcement is just about the optic, but the enforcement, the actual intent of that will not be realized. It hasn't been realized because the goods is already in the country. People in all the nightclubs. In fact, people go to these nightclubs and stay longer time than that. Do I support the proliferation of sushi? I said no. Do I want a society free of sushi? I say yes. Do I want the government to use the approach that they use, the knee-jerk approach, only for political correctness? I said no. Mind you, who take in jobs? When you see Sisha, that's not the real jobs using people there. The importers. Government hasn't done enough to deal with the importers. So I'll get to the specific details later on in terms of what I think government can do.
All right.
But for now, I think government fight is not holistic. I think government fight is just a knee-jerk approach. It's just for political correctness, and the approach does not, it violates the right of business people, and some of them have lost. That effect is on government because government taxes is at stake here. That's my conclusion on this one.
Thank you. So, Matthew, do you agree with both Joseph and Randall's point that the government is tackling the symptom and not the root causes of the problem?
You see, Mr. Sacco, thank you. Our nation needs a radical transformation in everything that we do. And I've already announced to the nation, by the grace of God Almighty, I'm running for president. So I will respond to the issue from as
We
a
wish you luck.
presidential aspirant, how I would deal with it if I were president.
Congratulations, sir.
So the first thing is that I'm looking at some of the data on the quote unquote drug epidemic. And I am not sure that the drug epidemic or the situation of drug abuse in Liberia is at an epidemic kind of proportion compared to poverty, unemployment facing our nation. So if I were president, I would increase awareness on the risk associated with indulging in those behavior. Massive awareness.
So this is about a lack of
And will reinforce,
okay.
and will reinforce, I'm coming to that,
Okay.
and will reinforce our security agencies crackdown, including at the border points. So that is what we do, what the government should be doing routinely. So I'm not sure that I will place extraordinary focus on what we are hearing to be a drug epidemic. I was looking at some data somewhere, I think, and some group published that there are about 866 ghettos in Monrovia, and about 100,000 people are estimated to be drug users. So this should, every nation faces this kind of situation. As long as we are within a human family, we will always have the desire. People have desire for so many things. So draw, there is a demand side of it, and there is a supply side of it. If the effects are dangerous, then I will raise massive awareness on the dangers of it. But then those who would knowingly engage in that conduct, we will leave them to their fate. If as a nation, as government, if we raise massive awareness about the dangers of taking in narcotic substances, and people willfully decide to engage in it, I will leave them to their fate. I will not divert the nation's attention to something that affects less than 0.1% of our population. I would call the nation's attention to that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I will agree with my comrade on one angle that this is for political funfair. It is for political funfair. You understand?
What will you
It is
do?
for political funfair.
What would you do if you were
What we will
if you
do
were the head
now,
of the government right now?
sorry,
What will you
I
do
need to
as
learn. I need to
president?
learn. Yeah, let me learn my line of thought. So
Uh,
that
oh,
is what we would. That I mean, so
okay.
it doesn't require extraordinary attention.
Okay, sir.
It doesn't require hype. You just need to be methodical. The structures are already in place. Make sure that okay, Liberia is now being used as a transit point. You have to empower the DEA agent and the immigration and all those security agencies that are deployed at our border points. I don't need a coordination of attention for that. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. Massive awareness. I don't need to do that. The Ministry of Information is already, supported. They have a budget. They can, if this is an emergency, they will raise massive awareness on it, telling people about the dangers and advising them not to engage in it. If they go and willfully do it, well, our government's focus will not be diverted because people decide to engage in illegal activities. Like I said, drug addiction or drug abuse, there's a demand and supply side of it. Okay, the situation we're facing in Liberia now, maybe now people are saying the demand is going up. So we will deal with the demand by raising awareness and try to reduce it, discourage people from engaging in that. But I will focus on poverty, and lack of unemployment, sorry, that our nation faces. That is where my focus is going to be. That's what we're going to do. Now, if people willfully decide to engage or indulge, abuse illegal substances, the law will take its course without compromise. We don't need a national attention for. We don't need a national campaign for that. The Ministry of there are laws already on the book. You just have to enforce the law. But what the government, you see, our people do. They do the cherry pick things. They do the little things. They do the cosmetic things for the fun fair. Have a big anti-drug campaign and announce. Say, oh, we say no to drug. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. The
My,
institutions and the structure that we have, you have to empower them to do the job. You don't need to call our nation attention to it. If people need to be rehabilitated, we have the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. They can do that. It is their mandate. If people unknowingly became involved in taking illegal substances, when we counsel them and we determine that they want to get out, we put in the structure in place to ensure that they are recovering. So we have to do that. But our nation, my brother, faces an even bigger challenge that our, you know, little focus or momentary excitement that every government has done since the end of the Civil War. There is an issue, and we're making noise about it. Then we jump on the show, we say, oh, say no to this campaign, say no to that campaign. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. The structures need to work. Massive awareness, educating people that they are endangering their own lives when they engage into that kind of activities. But I will not divert our nation's focus. Our country, Liberia, has to work for the 5 or more million people in the country. Every government before, since the end of the Civil War, Mrs. Shirley to Mr. Weir to now Mr. Boaka, they are failing terribly on putting Liberia to work. And their diversionary tactics, shifting focus from here and there on these little things, they're wasting our nation's time. That's just the time they're biding to say to the people that we don't have actual solutions for the issues that are facing our country. We have 5 million people in the country, but some estimate between 40 to 60% of our people are either unemployed or underemployed. People don't have jobs. The economy is not working for Liberians. When are we going to have a match for that to say no to unemployment? That is an even serious concern rather than 100,000 people who are abusing drugs.
Now,
100,000 people are abusing drugs, and you call our national attention. You launch a big campaign. You say no to drugs. When millions of families are going home hungry, when are you going to have a match to say no to hunger?
Yes.
Say no to hunger.
Thank you
So I
very
don't
much.
want to take out of your time. I'm just saying the
Yeah.
United Party folks. Look, come here. The people in the government, unfortunately, did not majority. Did not. Their approach to governance is not sophisticated, and they take our people for granted. They do little things for the fanfare and pageantry
Okay.
to take focus away from the serious issues that we face.
We get right back to
Yeah.
you.
So the
Uh,
drug addiction issue for me, I
mhm.
don't think it is an epidemic that our nation's attention needs to be called to. The serious issue that we're facing, they are failing on it and they're not calling our nation attention to it. And that is the fact that we have an astronomical 773 million US dollars of an 880 million budget that is going down the drain on recurring expenses. But interestingly, I mean, they're close with it. I don't know what to take all your time. Interestingly, they said that they're opening a youth entrepreneurship investment bank. And the African Development Bank is putting in $15 million. And the Liberian government said they will put in $1.9 million in-kind contribution. A bank that they say is supposed to come to scout Liberian entrepreneurs and give them investment. So these things will call to the question, where does the government mouth is? They said put your money where your mouth is. How much the government like we are putting between drug abuse? They should start wasting our time with all these fanfare and show them. They're serious about it. They're not serious about it. 100,000 people abusing drugs in Liberia. You don't
Okay,
need national attention for that.
we'll start right there and we'll get right back to you, Matthew. Joseph, do you agree with Matthew's point that the government is not approaching the issue from a proactive methodology, but they are just reacting, when matters become worse? Do you agree with his position? That is, that they're not putting, in place some long-term uh, measures that will, prevent this situation from reaching the level it has reached. But they are just rushing whenever it's getting out of hand, and then they want to do a quick fix, solution. Do you agree with our position, Joseph Akwesise?
So whether I agree, to attacking what I describe as the root, one of the root causes, like poverty, unemployment. So yes, I agree with that. And so, and as I said, the root cause, unemployment, right? Poverty leads, unemployment leads to poverty, right? So that's just part of it. But it should also go further. Sometimes people are employed, they are not poor, or they are not poor, but yet still they use the drugs. They use drugs because of certain conditions that they want to suppress. Like, for example, I may be working, I'm well paid, I'm married, I have my children are going to good schools, they are making good grades, but yet instead, I'm referred to using drugs because I may have certain conditions that I think the drugs may suppress, either temporarily or more, a little more temporarily. So those issues have to be addressed. The psychological issue, the psychiatric issues also are root causes. So if we just leave it with poverty, then we only do it or half man. So look at all those root causes that somebody is wealthy. Then again, the habit, the habit. You have everything, but you have everything, but yet still you use drugs. So those are the causes that research needs to be done at this stage where we are seeing now, okay, it's a national threat, a national emergency. So, some long-term initiatives also need to be done, like maybe issuing scholarship or encouraging students or encouraging the youth to start going to this field, like psychiatry, government giving scholarship, so that our people can go and learn these things. More of them come back and see what they can do research and try to alleviate it. So these are long term. So now, as I said, the short term, well, the initiation is there, the will to initiate the process is there, but we have to see it through. The continuity and also attacking new costs.
Thank you very much. So we are still unpacking Matthew's point. He was very detailed, in his analysis. So Ronald W, do you agree with Nyampu that the emergency, the national emergency we have right now is not the use of narcotics, widespread use of narcotics among Liberian youth, but hunger? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Matthew, he struck exactly the point I was stretching in a very different dimension. There were issues that President Boakai campaigned on. In District 15, 2023, he made a specific promise that he will review all national concessions in the country. Why are we poor? Are we poor because people are taking in drugs? No, we are poor because of the misuse of our natural resources. From the extractive sector, I'm an environmentalist and a climate change practitioner. I know for sure how much gold is leaving Bay Mountain. I know how much ammonium nitrate, cyanide, and other explosives that these companies are using to extract our gold in massive proportion. And I know the environmental footprint is leaving behind. I know the degradation level. I know to what extent our flora and fauna is being polluted in that area. So I do agree. The what is a national emergency has been invaded, and the number one national emergency that extreme poverty, the number one national emergency that the disproportionate inequality to our nation's wealth. Well, one group of people have access to everything. That is the real national emergency. The real national emergency is to have a teacher from Zweju in Jesse Body, a teacher with a Class C certificate makes $125 USD per month. If you multiply that, that person will need almost 30 years to make what a lawmaker makes in 1 month. That is a real national emergency. Because a lawmaker who makes 15,000 a month, multiply 125 times whole year, you turn around 1,000 plus. multiply 1,000 plus times 30 years. So what a lawmaker makes in about 2 months is what an average teacher who is more than the mind of the young people is what that teacher is making in JC Body, in Grand Chile County for 30 years. That is the real national emergency. The real national emergency in our country is we have 176 border points. Out of the 176 border points, you have only 10% of them secure, meaning it's a formal border point where you have immigration officer, you have LRA, and is collecting lawful revenue. Only about 10%. More than 80 something percent is vulnerable to the inflow and outflow of these very narcotic substances. So your first emergency is not the knee-jerk approach. It's not to look at where you fall, but to look at what made you to fall. So our government is not serious about the fight against the just in the first place. Look at the elements, the character, the configuration of the DEA. The first two people they put there are Ibi Kroman and this guy called Fadiga. They were fighting and accusing each other of being in bed with those importing drugs. The president did nothing to investigate that. So something that brought is served. The self-admittance is the greatest evidence. People of the higher level making decisions, safeguarding just supposedly accusing each other of being in the just business. The president did nothing to investigate that. He instead, in this very month, that we have this very flag day, a very funny holiday in my mind that has no bearing, right? He declared fast and prayer in this very month. In this very month. So instead of the president being far-sighted on the issues that matter, instead of the president, he promised that B. Martin, the MDA, will be reviewed. I have the clip, I can share that with you. It has never been reviewed. These are the real emergency. During the first 12 years of the United Party, there were 68 useless concessions, including Pecan Renewable, including El Nito. These people still owe the government of Liberia. If you hold them to their feet, if you trickle, the fair play clause on our laws, if you delineate what is right from what is wrong, if you hire people who are competent, people will be basic. They will not take jobs. Like Matthew said, people who take Sisha, it's a matter of choice. If Sisha cost is $15, I can tell you this, right? I agree with Matthew, right? Those who afford Sisha in our country, they are working. They can afford the jobs that can make people to lie down on the ground. It's not Sisha. It's not Sisha. I know how those jobs are produced. So people who have economic will, what they can afford, there are some liquor that are powerful, that are more destructive than Sisha. You go after Sisha, you leave out alcohol. Do you know what you try to do? You take happiness from people from the Muslim background. Most of these Muslim people who go to entertainment centers, they don't drink alcohol because they smoke a lot. Now, trust me, smoking is not good. Those who produce tobacco, it says cigarette smoking is dangerous to your health. Even the Sisha, those who produce it, they issue that disclaimer. So it's already clear that this is a bad type of substance. Is that somebody holding NEF? NEF is a weapon that kills people. It depends how you use it. It depends how you use it. So the government is wasting our precious time. Government's approach is not holistic, just to divert our mind from taking 40-man delegation to Japan. Instead of us discussing that, government come out and say, "Oh, we're banning this," because it's intuitive. Popular mind will shift to things from things that matters to things that do not matter, right?
Okay.
So government is wasting our time, and government is invading what is
Okay, Ryan, thank you very much. I I understand the position that all three gentlemen have taken, Joseph, Nyampu, and Dobayu. But I have one question. Okay. So what would you say to a mother, a very affluent mother, who is appealing to the president to do something quickly about this drug addiction problem because her son, who doesn't know anything about poverty, has fallen prey to narcotics? What do you say to that mother who is crying, and tens of thousands of mothers like herself who are crying for the government to take immediate drastic action to curtail this problem? What do you say to them?
Well, I think that's a simple one.
Yes.
Mr. It's very
Mm-hmm.
simple.
You first.
You just get a social worker from the Department of Social Protection to assign him to that lady's son, and they will help him through. Usually, the social workers or drug addiction specialists, their intervention is personalized per case. So, if we have people, so now if there is a demand for that kind of service for young people who maybe may have unknowingly fallen prey to addiction, there is a social issue that we should address. And the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection is the statutory agency to bring to bear the kind of social work approach to dealing with that. If they are not, if we don't have as many social workers now, currently the University of Liberia is offering degrees in social work. And it's been going on for a while now. I believe there are a lot of Liberians who are graduating with that qualification that you need to bring to bear. These things are normal functions of the government, Mr. Sacco. We don't need a national campaign for them. If we want a national campaign, we want a national campaign on the government's failure. Every government of Liberia since the end of the Civil War, or maybe I'll be tempted to go back to say before the Civil War, every government has not made the country to work for the Liberian people. The government has been working for them, those who work in the government, but the government has not made the country work for the people of Liberia. That is a fundamental failure. That is a pandemic in our nation. Poverty is an epidemic. The failure of the government to put money in the pockets of Liberians and food on their table, that is an epidemic. That is what our national emergency is currently. It is not to be making noise on the streets and say no to drugs. Drugs do not go by people jumping in the streets and wearing say no to drug t-shirts. Those people who can even do that, they're gainfully employed. They ate the morning that they jump in the streets to say they were protesting. They ate very good meal and they have money in their pockets to do that.
Okay.
That is not the problem our nation faces.
Well,
Our nation's problem right now is economic, and if any government is
Ma-
not addressing the economic issues facing Liberian, they're just biding time to make Liberian people to feel comfortable that there's a government in place. But while they are taking the salaries, Liberians are going to bed hungry. They are dissuading our attention from that injustice by hyping these very insignificant issues that should not even consume their attention. You
okay.
know,
Okay. Thank you, Matthew. Joseph,
Um,
let's hear your view on this. So, what do you say to an affluent parent who, for her, poverty is not the issue here? Her son or her daughter is still, not getting help, any help from this problem of drug addiction. What do you say to such a parent?
Yeah, as I said, poverty for some people may not be an issue. But
Yeah.
again, one factor we could suspect there would be peer pressure. And she wants the government to come up with programs that these kind of children they can take them from the they can go and rehabilitate them, if I understood you rightly. But then
Yes.
let me give you a short experience I had. There was an in-law of mine who was an AFL personnel that passed off. So and the internal was at the camp of Barry. So when we went for the burial, we went earlier. Some of us went earlier and was having at least on my first time going some children. There was an army guy carrying them around, cleaning up and doing things. And so they were just about maybe 6, 7. So I asked, he said, oh, these are children who their parents sent them to the parent because they are misbehaving, they are following bad rules, and possibly, even though I didn't hear they said they were drug addicts, but possibly some of them were. So, but that's no more small now. So if another way to that such a people who learn years is that empower the AFL, because and empower the AFL to such an extent that they can absorb most of them. So if you find out you have everything and your child is being addicted to drugs, definitely one factor is peer pressure, or the child may have a psychological problem. He may have everything, but certain things he thinks he lacks, and to account for that, yeah, he takes drugs. So there's be a session today at that stage. I mean, at the barracks that can counsel them, ask them some questions, and discipline them. So that one way I see, because according to the community developer John T. Young, he said work with what you have. So they'll be in the maybe government now have the resources now to start creating all the institutions where they will carry children to rehabilitate them. And another thing again is that, well, I agree with Hiemplu talking about the University of Liberia offering degree in social sciences or societal issues. Well, that's it. But how many institutions are willing to accept these graduates, these young graduates, to go into
social work,
and whether they will pick? Oh, social work. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Social work. So how many institutions have been developed that will accept these, so that more and more can go into the field?
Well, if there is just to build
accounting, economics, and so we're more because yes.
I also want to build on this. I was listening carefully to everything that you stated, and one thing I grasped is that from Matthew is that our attention is being diverted. Instead of focusing on the real issues like poverty, unemployment, and so on and so forth, we are not focusing on the actual issue. Now, I think we're overlooking this drug issue. Now, I'll come up with a question, but I think we're overlooking this drug issue because we look at the recent estimate that 20% of Liberian youth are vulnerable. Not just Liberian youth, but the entire population. Looking at our population being approximately 5.5 million. I stand to be corrected on that. And we have 20% of this population being vulnerable.
Where that statistic coming from?
It comes from the LDEA.
What, the LDEA is a 20% of Liberian population vulnerable to what?
Yes, 20% of Liberian youth. On our previous show, we stated these stats. 20%. So that is approximately 1.1 million of this population we're talking about.
Is it vulnerable to what? Vulnerable to what?
It's not an issue that we should overlook.
The use of narcotics, sir. Yep.
Being vulnerable to the use of narcotics, vulnerability is quite something different than actual use. There are many vulnerability factors.
Okay.
And those factors as Mr. Akwe was saying, can be addressed. But 20% being vulnerable doesn't mean that 20% of the youth population are actually engaging into the use of illegal drugs. Is that what the stats say? I need to look at that. Is that what the stats? If I'm using
that is what the stats says. You can look at it. And vulnerability is also a risk.
Yeah, Mr. Sako, please go ahead. You said what is that?
That says, if I remember correctly,
yeah,
that 2 in every 10 young person is using illicit drug.
2 in every 10 young Liberian.
Yeah, in every 10
yes.
young people are using drugs, illegal drugs.
Okay.
2 in every 10.
Okay.
That is
an estimate, right? That is an estimate of DEA.
That is an estimate, but if you take a tour in Liberia today, if you take a tour in Liberia yourself, you will notice that some of these stats are true. Honestly, visit school campuses, visit the streets of Monrovia, and see how many persons are being affected.
So they say 20% of the Liberian population engaging in illegal drugs. That's what they're saying.
Are vulnerable.
But But you know, I mean, to be saying they're engaging in illegal drug is different from vulnerability. So I haven't read your report that you cite, you
Yeah.
quoting. But if you're
Anytime,
saying they're
anyone of them
vulnerable to the
can fall
use,
into that or
what?
stuff.
Okay, I didn't look at that. I haven't looked at it. But so
Yeah.
what if you have the start? I'll just tell you. I'm referring to a report here, a
Okay.
2023 report by one group. They call Just give me. Let me find it very quickly. I'll
Okay,
find
sir.
that. I have it with me here. Uh, it says published by Global Action for Sustainable Development. It's an
Okay.
April 2023 situation analysis. It's been 2 years now, but it will not markedly change. They say the 100,000 estimated substance users. 100,000 estimated substance users
So so
like
you
in
see,
Liberia, mainly
you see,
concentrated in Monrovia. And then if you're saying that like 20% is vulnerable, well, any percentage can be vulnerable. We can address the vulnerabilities, and that's basically the point that Mr. Akwe was saying here. The vulnerabilities that maybe frustration, poverty, and other issues, but we're interested in the actual numbers. If those who are engaging in this in illegal drug, we're not overlooking it, but what we're saying that the, is the drug issue facing our nation more acute and pressing than the destitution that our people face every day that they can find food to eat. When you
no,
say to
no,
the Oma on the
Okay,
road,
okay, okay.
yeah. So that's the point. So we are not downplaying it. We're not downplaying it. We're saying we already have the structures in place to solve this problem. Our system is already set up to deal with it. If they're not dealing with it effective enough, you need to strengthen them. You need to reinforce them. But we don't need a national attention to be called to it. That's what we say. That's our argument. I gave
yeah.
you a couple of agencies. On the law enforcement side, we have the DEA. On the social work side, we have the Ministry of General Social Protection. That they have social workers who are really who should be empowered to do this. But brother, we don't need a computer. That I was just saying to you, addiction issue. There's a demand and supply side. If there is a spike in demand, then we have to do things that will reduce the demand. And one of the issues that one of the policy action that we propose, massive awareness on the dangers of engaging or taking illegal substances will drive down demand when people are aware of it. But if people are aware, we also have laws in our country that say that it is unlawful to engage in that kind of conduct. So if you engage in that kind of conduct, then the law should take its course. We
Yeah.
have DEA, we
But
have the judicial.
while if the laws are not taking that course right now?
That is the point we're making. Say we have the structure, and you have to reinforce the structures.
But somebody can argue that the government is now enforcing those very laws that we're talking about, and
The
we are
government is
and we are here
Can
telling
I come in?
the
I've been
government
quiet for
can
I've been quiet for
enforce the
you.
law. So what would you say to somebody with that argument that
no, the government is not enforcing any law. The government is not enforcing any law.
okay,
The government is cosmetic about law enforcement. The government of Liberia is not serious about law enforcement. If you have the chief executive flouting our nation's laws, no one else will respect it. So that is where. So listen, the problem is that they're hyping those things don't happen in a vacuum. If you give your people the impression that laws exist only on paper, but the laws do not have teeth, obviously they will follow you. And that is what the Unity Party government has done. President Bouaka has said to the nation the laws don't matter. So they're not enforcing the laws have eyes to see. And when you create that kind of culture of law enforcement in our country, then you're going to be putting your hand on your head and say, "Oh, my people, you're kind of the problem we're facing." Whereas you are the one undercutting the structure that you have to deal with them.
okay, I think Ronald wanted to come in.
So,
Ronald,
so yeah, let me be very clear here. The government is stage managing herself. The government is directing narrative here. What the Unity Party government claim the know best is narrative. There was some revelation made by Brother Yamplu when he left the government that there are some dark room or some money distribution there at the Ministry of Information, because for them they only care about information dissemination. They don't care about the effect. They don't care about services. The Unity Party made it seems to be like the past government uh, led by President where they were importing just on high scale. They said just were being manufactured in Liberia, just were coming in. Now they use that as an element of campaign to lie, mislead, and gain the support of the people. After they came to power, almost 2 years, we see drugs proliferation. Now, if you said you knew who were bringing in drugs, you knew the window, everything, you had a prescription, do you need to call a national campaign rally to go and arrest people and effectuate what you told the people all through your campaign? There were billboards erected in Liberia. So what the government is doing, they are pretending against the fight against in the fight against corruption. They are pretending, they are scheming, they are tantalizing, they are knee-jerking. They only want political correctness. They want to prove just a temporary point. That is what they do. They proved that point when they attempted lying that yellow machines were coming in this country. They proved that point when they lied that scholarships at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The media cause of Brother Yamplu's resignation is started to that scheme at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. To this point, not a single Liberian has left the country on scholarship. That is what the Unity Party government does. They lie, they scheme, they only mislead people. So this fight against drugs, those who import drugs, if you want to fight drugs, secure our borders. If you want to fight drugs, you know what you do? You strengthen law enforcement and judiciary measures. You implement intelligence-led policing that target high-profile suppliers and transnational network that we have in our country, not low-level users. Establish fast-track court that squarely deals with drugs-related issues and ensure swift prosecution. Go on our laws. What are the prescribed punishment for just user? It's very low. You have failed to enhance and establish a rehabilitation schemes that intend to reintegrate people into society and expand the rehabilitation center, particularly in rural areas, and provide access to treatment. These are things that Yamplu said. Ministry of Health is a sanitary role. Ministry of Gender is a sanitary role. Police have a division for jobs. Almost every security angle. Why are you wasting our time? Why are you wasting our time? We have all of these tools available to you, but you don't want to use them. You don't have the appetite to use them. What you have the appetite to do is to focus on 2029. If you tell the people that we did this, you keep those pictures, and around 2028, you start flaunting them on social media. What the Unity Party does every day is to lie to the people, is to mislead. For them, it's all about vote. It's all about lies. So I strongly agree that the fight against drugs, it's not carrying on anywhere. You are joking. You are
They're not fighting drugs, Mr. Ron.
Okay,
They're not fighting drugs, Mr.
okay,
Debayu.
they
The
pronounce
government is opportunistic. They're opportunistic. They can just jump on something, hype it. Jump on this one, hype it. Jump on this, hype it.
Yeah, the pronouncement, it's quote unquote, you see my fingers, the pronouncement of fighting drugs is cosmetic. The real issue here is the historical governance lapses in our country. Weak institutional framework that government has refused to honor. The Anti-Corruption Commission, they have a lot of report languaging. Government has not retrieved a dime. Government said they set up a asset recovery group. Up to now, a dime has not been recovered. That is a real national emergency. The real national emergency is the issue that the U.S. State Department issued a damaging report on human rights violation, abuse of power in our country.
Okay, Rana, I will come right back to you, but our good friend Nyampu is about to leave. We want to hear not Nyampu's parting comment, but I would like to phrase it in this way. Nyampu, you are a political hopeful. You have expressed
I have announced, I have announced my intention.
yeah, you have announced your intention. So, if you were given a chance to lead the country now, I understand you're talking about the issue of priority. The government is now prioritizing first thing first, right? So, what would be your order of priority in addressing some of the things you listed: poverty, extreme poverty, hunger, drug addiction being maybe the least on the list? But how will you prioritize the issues that are currently that the country is currently faced with?
What I don't know if there will be drug. as Unity Party doing right now, Mr. Sako. Like I said, you just make the system. The system is in place. The laws are on the book. Just make them work. I'm not going to catch sleep over that. What we're going to lose sleep over is solving our economic issues, and that is going to start with first. Like I said, and maybe my brother Randall is all. It also goes to him because he was in the previous government. So the issues that we're facing today, we cannot leave you out your previous government. You see, I'm going to use the situation we face today.
We can
Unity
even
Party came to power in
we can leave you
2024.
out for imposing on our unity party that have lied their way to power. So you too, you take bigger responsibility for bringing a 78-year-old man who lies every day about everything. You said he was from heaven. Today he's damaging our country, and there you want to exempt yourself.
Mr. Sako, please protect me. Randall is. We'll have another time for governance. We're not discussing the governance failures that's hurting our country today. That's not what we're discussing. But I just want to close on just one fact.
Yes, please proceed.
Unity Party came to power 2024. The budget in 2024, they will raise their hand and say, "Oh, it was not our budget. It was not our budget. That's CDC budget." Mr. Sako, you know what happened?
Tell us.
Unity Party spent 671 million of the budget they made that was the CDC budget on recurring expenditures. On recurring expenditure. That is just run the government in 2024.
Mhm.
In 2025, they have increased that amount by a whooping 102,500,000. So this year, the Unity Party is spending 773 million US dollars of a budget ceiling that is 880 million.
Mhm.
So you have just 107 million to work for the Liberian people. Mr. Sako, you know how we're going to start when I say the first action we're going to take is that first, we're not going to appoint any deputy minister that how we save costs.
Okay.
We need to save money for the Liberian people. Sincerely, it is what we face economically in Liberia is a crisis. If we do not, if our nation does not change this current trajectory, my brother, our Liberian people will never benefit from the government. The Liberian people will never benefit from the government. But the system as it is benefits those who go there. They want to keep it that way. So they don't take any transformative action. The first action we're taking, we will not listen. As president, we're not going to go look for loan osa. Like I told you, we got to make efficient use of the resources in the home before we can go take credit. If we are loose and wasteful with the meager resources that we are having, then obviously even credit will not help us. Credit will not help us. I don't have the time to elaborate to you the philosophical disadvantage that every government continues to put Liberian people in. Now, to do big development for Liberia, they will say we'll go take loan with it. But over time, that the Liberian people taxes will pay for it. But the dollars that they generate in taxes in the present, that goes to benefit them. So they wreck the country by taking huge salaries and benefit, and they pass on the cost of any kind of development in Liberia to the people down the line. So year in year, this year the government paying 150 million, 153 million US dollars just in debt service, debt payment. Just in debt payment. Then this year we were celebrating, say, I think the World Bank gave Liberia some 88 something million for education loan. I said, look, as president, we're not going to take loan for education. It is disgraceful. When you can use your tax dollars to educate your people, you want loan for it. So the tax dollar that we collecting today, what we doing here? It's only good to pay salary backers. It's not good to educate the people of Liberia. So our country is in an emergency. And that's why we're entering the race. And this is the case we're going to make to the people of Liberia. Why they can't change? Unity Party made noise with CDC for 6 years. They came, they made a budget. They spent 671 million of that budget. They spent that amount on recurring expenses. In 2025, their first budget, they increased the recurring expense by 102 million. Then Ome Boaga justifying private jet. So this is this is the disadvantage they put in our country in. Another synopsis I will give you before I close.
They were hyping. This is why I tell you the people in the government, they don't have the Liberian people at heart. They brought Akiwumi Adesina, the outgoing president of African Development Bank. They brought him to Liberia to deliver a beautiful speech to the Liberian cabinet. They said Akiwumi Adesina came and he was launching the Youth Entrepreneurship Development Bank. Guess what? I thought when you launch something, then the next day it's all to start working. But the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank that they launched, that's something that I said will happen in 2026. The issue about just for the news and the headline, you brought Akiwumi Adesina, you said you were launching a 17 million youth entrepreneurship development bank, but the next day the door not open, it not happening the next month, it happened the next week, it happened in 2026. But guess what? So I went to look at the fine details. Since you are hyping this thing up for Liberia, okay, yeah, what you putting inside? 15.1 million of that, the 17 million youth entrepreneurship development bank that they say will open in Liberia that will help Africans and not only concentrated or restricted to just the Liberian entrepreneurs, is going to be for Africans. The African Development Bank is doing business, 15.1 million about they put it inside. That part of the business, what they're doing. The Liberian government said they will contribute $1.9 million in kind contribution. So when will the Liberian people benefit from their taxes? If you say Youth Entrepreneurship Development Bank is good, how much you put it inside? The African Development Bank money, what happened to our money, our tax dollars? We have 773 million of tax dollars that go on recurring expenses. How much of that going to the Liberian people actually? I will leave you with that question.
Okay, I know you have to go, but just quick, maybe
I
10
have a
seconds,
lot.
right? Maybe 10 seconds. A lot
Mhm.
of people are wondering, Martin, why did you exit the current administration so unceremoniously?
What?
Why did you exit the current administration so abruptly?
My brother, I have respect for my integrity. I stand for certain values, and I cannot disavow those values. Ome Boaka and the people in the government wanted me to lie, say Sarah Bezalo Yanti was not lying. Sarah Bezalo Yanti, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, was lying about Nicotech. My brother, you live in the United States. There is something, if you go to schools in the United States, there's only the US government called work study. You know, they allow students to work while they study. It is that program that Sarah Bezalo Yanti said one Ghanaian private company was bringing to Liberia to benefit 250 Liberians. We did a research, we told them that is a lie. Moreover, they were charging Liberian 250 United States dollars just to benefit. Look, the things that are happening were very outrageous. When I disclosed it to the government, they recognized it internally that that was a scandal for the government, but they didn't want to admit it publicly to the people. So Cyrus wanted to bluff her way out of A by bringing Nicotech in the country, and she continued. She started to paint the picture that we were spreading misinformation about the program. So I notified the Minister of Information. I said, tell your colleagues that they should stop that. When I say something, I stand by it. I will not allow her to impede my credibility. So that I wrote a long post on Facebook and I proof all the I disprove all the lies that they were publishing. The next day they took that post to the president and they said that they said what I breached what they call interagency protocol. I said that's nonsense. They sent me the letter. They said I'm suspended indefinitely and I'm suspended without pay. So I resigned the job the same day.
Okay, so you're
Before that, the minister, they don't know me. The minister who minister PR, who my minister of information. Maybe he worked for me from distance, but that was the first time we're working together. He doesn't, Sako, the people probably in the government, they believe that every Liberian that makes noise about governance won't go in the government to go eat their own. That how they looked at me. They thought I was the person who went there to go eat my own, that I would silence my values because I just won't be there to eat my own. I didn't want to be there to eat my own. I went there to stand for truth and to speak the truth. When they try to compromise that truth, I resigned the job and I left the country. So thank you very much. We'll have another show next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We hope to have you back on here. And next time, we are praying that we'll have somebody from
So why you running to this Sunday?
the
Why
regime.
you just
So,
keep
I
it
mean,
or you want to make it so basically
we got to count us on the, how you call it, the nonsense that you took today. But with that, thank you. We wish you a beautiful Sunday. Take care, my brother.
Thank you.
Rana,
yeah. But
we want, we want to wrap up. Joseph, do you have any follow-up?
Martin just creating false urgency. I have nothing to do on this Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on listening to Matthew on the wastage, as I may describe it, there's something I have been thinking on that where government waste money. For example, this will be uncomfortable for some people. Like, for example, the issue of by-elections when a representative or a legislature, a member of the legislature is incapacitated. We go again to collect money, millions, then conduct by-elections. During the city government, I can estimate up to 15 million was spent on by-elections. And we are a poor country. Take, for example, the United States. If a congressman or woman is incapacitated, I think the governor also can appoint that person to serve that term. If that person belongs to the party, then of course the government can either appoint, the governor can either appoint that or somebody from that party. So the same thing could happen to like if, for example, I am a CC lawmaker or a Union Party lawmaker, I am incapacitated. So the national election, just go and give the rules and regulation. The CC United Party, the Union Party, CC or the Union Party can select someone in money through their primary and send the person to complete that term. It will only be different when that person is independent or was independent. So that's something you look at. We're spending money on that too much. But since the government haven't noticed any bad election, but 60 times they spend a lot of money. Yeah, they spend a lot of money. And where the money came from, usually from the taxpayer, from the revenue coalitions. So as you're seeing, concerning the budget, so we're spending with this, that one thing we need to look at. And if we really love this country, we can come together and say, okay, yeah, let's do this to save money and then show that money we save can be used for the intended purpose. Yeah.
Okay, Randall.
So, Mr. Joseph, let me just add on to you, but in a different way. By-elections, there has been many by-elections already under this government. Firstly, the first by-election was to replace the current vice president. His seat was left empty in Nima County. It was Hai Nyantuan won that seat. It was the first by-election. The other by-election was on Jeremiah Sokan Ingrid Jide. He was replacing Madison Gwen, and then also even in the very Nima again, there has been a by-election now to replace the guy who has replaced Prince Johnson. So just in of less than 2 years, there has been 2 by-election in less than 2 calendar years. So if you have a government that keep on a so-called change metra, a rescue metra, these are things that we need to tackle. Except for the miracle that you talk about, the governance culture and systems are different. In America, you have federalism, federal government, where these states have of autonomy. In Liberia, we have a unitary form of government, which is centralized. That's why you have the Liberia National Police instead of county police. Now, as an advocate of democracy and reform for our electoral law, one of those things that I have long talked about is the issue about, the proliferation and mass movement, exodus, and going from one party to another. In our country, it started.
Another thing,
it started our inability and our gross refusal to strengthen this loophole. Today, Sir Joseph has led the CDC, even though he has been with the CDC for long. It is the CDC back, a CDC suit that he used to win. Today, our electoral law gives a lawmaker the chance, a plain check that they can move at any time with no institutional loyalty. Until our government can see it's necessary that when you win on this party ticket, whatever happened, the party has that authority to replace you. Loyalty will be installed in our political processes. Discipline and consistency will be seen. So I do agree with Akwe on this one. Because why do we spend useless money on by-elections and all of these elections? The only elections maybe should be maintained for the purpose of continuity. But by-election is because political parties do not have the authority to discipline this lawmaker. I'll give you this example. For our democracy to be strengthened, what happened to Fonati Kofa? If the CDC have exclusive control, you can expel the man from the party, but it doesn't stop the man from earning his strength. So that man only has loyalty to his political theater, not loyalty to the institutions that made him. So these are proposals that we've made as advocate of democracy in our country. And so on this one, I agree with Mr. Akwe Zizing. We have a lot of useless by-election, like those useless holidays. Today is one of those useless holidays. You know, we got Flag Day and you got Independent Day. The historical reasons why this Flag Day was separated from the Independent Day has passed. We can correct and integrate these days, Flag Day and Independent Day. How do you celebrate Independent without your flag? So I do agree with Akwe on this subject matter.
Okay, gentlemen, we have
Thank you.
wrap up quickly. Joseph, Aaron, my co-host, if you have any follow-up, can you please proceed so we can take our parting, comments and call it a day?
Oh yeah, so thank you so much, Thomas. You know, it has been an actual good ride, a very, very meaningful and impactful conversation on the drug addiction issue in Liberia. And I really appreciate all of you, your points, they were really, really articulated and well taken. And, you know, there was a certain point in time where our attention was a little bit diverted from the actual statistics that were stated not by just us but the government agency, the statistics that were uploaded. The main reason why we have this emergency today, and that is because the stats that was uploaded about 1.1 million Liberian youth being vulnerable to drug addiction. You know, it raised an alarm in the country, and it prompted the recent protest, and that was the main reason. And the protest was actually pushed by Liberians. It was pushed by Liberians, not because they wanted to, not because of any political reason, but actually because they wanted to see changes. And that is the reason why we are here today. We're here tonight to talk about this change that we want to see. Um, you know, drug is actually a crowning issue, and for most of us that are in Liberia here, we have seen these things, and we can attest to these statistics that these are not just stunts. These are actual statistics. This is something that is affecting the youthful generation. And considering the fact that we have 60% of Liberia's population being youth, like according to the UNDP, we have 60% of the Liberian population under the age 25. And it tells us that 20% of our population being vulnerable is a national emergency. And even though we have other emergencies, but I think all of them go hand in hand, and we cannot overlook each one of them. And before we part today, I would like for us to, redirect our attention, for us to redirect our focus on the fact that drug is actually a crowning issue. And let us look at ways that we can suggest, means that we can suggest, because we want to see changes. And even though we have our qualms on the government and so on and so forth, but we should also understand that the government will always have their flaws, yes. But we Liberians, we are also in a place where we can suggest. So that is why we are here today to to talk about these things and suggest on ways that we can mitigate these things, not to point out every fault of the government, but to also address ways that we can mitigate these things. So as we wrap up today, I would like for all of us to, within our parting statement, to state ways that we can, help to mitigate these things. Let us, right now, our focus is on the drug addiction, and it is a crowning issue. So how can we mitigate these things? How can we mitigate these things? Forgetting, even though we're not overlooking the other the other lapses of the government, but we should also look at the fact that drug addiction is a crowning issue that also needs to be addressed in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of education. How can we mitigate these things? In terms of policy reforms and enforcement, how can we help?
Thank you very much, Joseph. That's one young man advocating for his entire constituency of young people. So do not overlook what he's saying. Um, gentlemen, for the sake of time, 30 minutes, 30 seconds. Beg your pardon. 30 seconds for your closing statements. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So for my closing today, Thomas, I'd like to say thank you for the show. This is one of the best show we've had. At least there's less technical issue, and thanks to you and the team, and thanks to everyone. I think the issue about drugs in Liberia, we say much about it than we do. We are not saying it's not an issue, but the government is making more noise when they have the authority to do more, to take more action. I felt disappointed when the government used the drugs issue as a political, issue. You cannot go and petition yourself. It's like the doctor complaining of a problem. The doctor, you should go and prescribe medication when you got people around you that are ill. So the government, we sign a social contract with the government. I give you power, you give me good life, you give me a society free of jobs, you give me basic social services. So when government is coming and supporting a march and coming and petitioning herself, lawmakers were marching. Your role as a lawmaker is to make law to safeguard our environment. For you to march and come and petition yourself, that is a validation of failure. For the government, you two people protested. One group is enough is enough. You refuse to go there because you did not know how that protest was formed. You had no political alignment with them. You did not go there. Another group that you staged to come and protest, you walk to them. See the difference. See the rationale. See what is not stated from the backstage into action. So what we are saying is that government is saying more about jobs instead of doing more about jobs. Government was never elected to say more about jobs. Already they said more during the campaign. They had billboards. They had all of the sun. They had all everything in their remonstrance, in their platform that they would have done. What is stopping them from doing what they said was wrong with previous government? So in the end, we think government is there just beating loosely. We think government is just tantalizing. We think government is just using this. It's a name jerk approach that is not tangible, not sustainable, not transparent, and is not honest. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ronald. We appreciate you for your insightful contribution. Mr. Joseph Akwesise, your parting comments in
Yes,
30 seconds.
for my part, I will give any judgment now, owing to my background, as I said, in corporate planning, implementation, and evaluation. So there are stages. So for now, we'll give it a chance and see how each stage will lead to the other, what we call cause and effect relationship. So now, the first stage now, as I see it, is the initial stage, the will to initiate the process.
Okay.
That's fine. Then we want to see whether it will continue.
All
Then
right.
again, to attack the root causes. That one side. And then the other side is the poverty, the root causes. And so there should be a holistic approach where government or private persons or institutions, multilateral institutions can initiate a scheme where we can conduct research. Yeah,
Okay.
train people or
Thank you
encourage
very
people to go to school yes, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
gentlemen. We would like to close on that. But before we wrap up today, let us take a moment to reflect on the bigger picture of what this show is all about. I want us to imagine a Liberia where citizens are empowered with adequate information and resources to thoroughly evaluate their leaders, demand transparency, and hold their public officials accountable for their actions and, and inactions. Also, imagine a society where young people are eagerly utilizing various creative communication tools to transform their anger and frustrations into constructive dialogue and inspiring works of art. That's the Liberia that we envision. And we need your help, your partnership, your support in achieving this great vision. On that note, I'll say thank you very much for joining us. Please take good care of yourself and remember to be kind to your neighbors. Thank you very much. Have a great time.
Yeah, thank you and thanks for the opportunity.